Happy Tuesday. It's kind of gloomy, which is nice. Spooky season is coming, and I don't have to use not an ice pick. What is this? An ice pack. I don't have to use an ice pack to prop up my phone. Ace is here.
AC.
He's eating a treat, and that's the only way to get him into the room now. We're reading the Odyssey by Homer. We are going to continue with book 15. And we'll see how far we get. Cool. Meanwhile, Pallas Athene had gone to Lacedaemon of the broad acres to prompt the son of Odysseus to a quick return. She found him and Nestor's noble son asleep in the porch of great Menelaus's house, or, rather, Nestor's son lay in gentle slumber, while Telemachus stirred with anxious thoughts about his father all through the divine night. Pallas stood by him and said, "My Telemachus, with those bold men behind you in your house, you dare not prolong your wandering abroad to the neglect of your affairs. This journey will have been useless if during it they share out your wealth and devour it. Make stentorian Menelaus speed you homeward at once, while your mother is yet to be found there, for her father and his sons are urging her to accept Eurymachus, who has proved more lavish than any other of the suitors and has largely increased his wedding bids. If you return, she cannot carry off from the house things you would regret to lose, for you know what a woman's nature is, and how an eagerness to enrich her actual husband makes her cease speaking or thinking of her once dear lord and the children she bore him. So back with you and put your gains for safety in hands of the housemaiden you most trust, till the gods designate some stately woman to be your consort. Other news I have for you, and heed it carefully. An ambush of picked men from the suitors is hiding in the gut between the reefs of Samos and Ithaca, with intent to kill you before you regain home. I do not fear it. They are likelier to die themselves, some of these suitors who batten on your livelihood. Yet give those islands a wide berth and sail day and night in your staunch ship, for that immortal who watches over you for good will vouchsafe you a fair wind. Get ashore on the hither end of Ithaca and send your ship and company round to the city, while you make straight for where your loyal and devoted swineherd lives with his beasts. Lodge with him that night and send him to tell Penelope how you are spared to her and safely come out of Pylos." She departed for the peak of Olympus, while Telemachus let drive with his heel against the son of Nestor and woke him, to say, "Up, Pisistraus, and harness your sure-stepping horses to the chariot, that we may be on our way." But the son of Nestor replied, "Telemachus, no matter what the urgency, there is no driving in the dead of night. See, dawn is near. I vote we stay to take the warm farewells and Godspeed of the son of Atreus, that master spearsman, as also for the gifts with which this hero Menelaus will load our car. A guest should be ever considerate of the host who has lovingly entreated him." Thus he advised, and dawn assumed her golden throne. Clarion-voiced Menelaus quitted fair Helen's side and came towards them. When the son of Odysseus perceived this, he flung the bright tunic about his glossy body and draped his great shoulders in a cloak to go through the gates to meet him. And then he said, "O royal Menelaus, here and now send me home. My heart is yearning to be in my own dear country." And to him Menelaus replied, "Telemachus, if you so want to go, I shall not hold you back. Hosts, to my mind, should be neither importunate or abrupt. There is always the happy mean. It is as wrong to dispatch a reluctant guest as to detain the impatient. Cherish the stranger in the house, and speed him so soon as he has the mind. Yet wait while I display this beauty of my gifts to you, while I pack them in the chariot, and let me tell the women to set out in the hall a reflection of what meats they have ready. It is a point of credit and honor with us, and of benefit for you, to set out with full bellies across these boundless plains. Or would you make the tour of Hellas and mid-Argos in my company, me furnishing the horses and directing you among the towns? Verily, not one man would send us away as we came, but every time there would be a gift, some tripod or tub of real bronze, some yoke of mules or golden cup." Tactful was the reply of Telemachus. "Menelaus, I want to go to my own land so quickly, because when I left it, I did appoint no warden over my goods, and to lose some prized ancestral treasure would suit my taste no better than dying myself in quest of my glorious father." So soon as stentorian Menelaus understood him, he commanded his wife and her maids to contrive a luncheon from the victuals that lay plenteously to their hands. Then came in Antonius, son of Boethus, all new from bed, for he lived nearby. Menelaus had him light the fire and cook the meat, which he obediently did. Next the king went down into his sweet-smelling treasure, not unattended, for Helen and Megapenthes kept him company. At the treasure heap, Atrides picked out a double cup and made Megapenthes, his son, take a mixing bowl of silver. Helen hesitated by the clothes chests with their bright store of variegated garments and her own needleworking. Finally, from them, this fairest of women chose the amplest and richest vestment of all. It had been buried deeply beneath the others and glittered like a star. Then they marched back through the palace till they found Telemachus. Menelaus addressed him, saying, "O Telemachus, may Zeus the Thunderer, who is Hera's lord, allow you this return home you covet. Meanwhile, I am giving you the choicest and rarest treasure in my house. Here it is, the storied mixing bowl of pure silver, but for its lip of gold, which Hephaestus made, and his majesty, the king of Sidon, Phaedimus, gave me, as I was sheltering under his roof on my homeward journey. It pleases me to confer it upon you." With such words, the warrior son of Atreus presented him the double cup. Then sturdy Megapenthes brought forward his polished silver bowl, while Helen in her beauty advanced with the robe, and naming him, said, "This, dear child, is to be my gift, a keepsake from Helen's hand for your bride to wear on the day of expectation, your wedding day. Till then, lay it up with your mother in the house. My gladness go with you homeward to your own place and land." She gave it to him, and he was glad. Staunch Pisistratus marveled at the sight of all the gifts, even while he was stowing them away in the chariot's locker. Again the tawny-crested king led them within his palace, where they sat enthroned, while the maid poured the cleansing water for their hands from her golden ewer over its basin, and set out their polished table, which the matron bountifully spread with wheaten loaves and cooked meats. The son of Boethus carved and helped the flesh, while Menelaus's son poured out their wine. So they fed till they were satisfied. Then Nestor's son and Telemachus harnessed their horses, and in their brilliant chariot swept through the echoing portal in its porch. But there, full in the track of the horses, stood the son of Atreus with a golden beaker, the stirrup cup of honeyed wine in his right hand, calling out, "Your healths, young men. Pledge me to Nestor the people's shepherd, who was such a father to me when we were young Achaeans with, nope, we're just going to redo that. Your healths, young men. Pledge me to Nestor the people's shepherd, who was such a father to me when we young Achaeans were fighting in the Troad." To which Telemachus properly replied, "We will repeat him all your message as you have given it, bantling of Zeus, when we arrive. And as my setting out from you has been upon such loving usage and weighed with the wealth of gifts, even so may my return to Ithaca discover Odysseus surely in the house to hear my tale." I'm going to give a quick adjustment, and we are going to put on some lip balm because my lips are dry. Okay. Upon the word there flew out from the right an eagle whose talons had an enormous white goose, one of their fowls from the yard. After it rushed the farmhands and maids yelling, but the eagle sheered again to the right, just by their horses. The sight gave them joy and excited every heart, till Pisistratus said, "Interpret it, O royal Menelaus, if the god means this portent for us two or for you." Fighting Menelaus fell on thought how he should properly read it and reply. But Helen took the word from him and said, "Hear me, while I declare the meaning, surely the true meaning, which the gods have flashed into my mind. As that eagle from the mountain eyrie which the eagles haunt has borne off in one swoop our farm-fattened goose, so shall Odysseus come back from his sore wandering and avenge himself, unless, perhaps, he is already home and brooding ruin for the suitors." Telemachus thanked her, saying, Zeus grant it so, lady, and I shall reverence you as a divinity." He whipped up the horses, and they raced through town to the open country, where day long the yoke nodded over their steady pacing till nightfall darkened the roads. They had attained Pheræ by the house of Diocles, son of that Orsilochus whom Alpheus begot, and there they stayed the night, fitly entertained. Rosy dawn saw them harnessing the horses. They climbed into their decorated chariot and drove through the loud gateway. Telemachus laid on with the whip, and the willing pair flew onward, so that soon they reached frowning Pylos. There he said to Nestor's son, "How shall I persuade you now to promise me what I want? Friends we are by reason of our father's old acquaintance. Also, we are of an age, and have had this trip together to confirm our love. So do not drive me past my ship, O favourite of Zeus, but set me down the better, that the old man's sense of hospitality may not have power to keep me chafing in his house." I would speed homeward. The son of Nestor pondered if this was a thing he could properly accept and perform. Reflection showed it to be best. So he turned his team out of the way to the water's edge and transferred to the after part of the ship all the noble gifts of Menelaus, the clothing and the gold. Then he said to Telemachus urgently, "Now get aboard and have your crew mustered before my reaching home warns the old man. My heart and head assure me that his willfulness will take no excuse. He will himself come here and hail you, refusing, as I say, to go back alone. This will fling him in a rage." With that, he turned his long-maned horses back to the town of the Pylians and quickly was at home, while Telemachus was busied greeting his men and bidding them all make ready in the black ship for an instant start. They heeded him and hurriedly obeyed, climbing aboard and taking their places to row. Telemachus was ordering them and praying and sacrificing to Athene in the stern sheets, where there appeared an utter stranger, fugitive from Argos for having killed a man. He was a prophet, being indeed kin to Melampus, who had had a splendid house and been rich among the people of the sheep-breeding Pylos, where he lived until forced to quit his land and settle abroad for having offended Neleus over his daughter. The haughtiest of nobles laid violent hands on all Melampus's property and kept it. During the long year its owner lay painfully gibed in the house of Phylacus, a spirit-breaking penalty he suffered by decree of the grim Fury and goddess Erinus. At length, Melampus avoided his doom and avenged his wrongs upon the mighty Neleus by driving off to Pylos the loudly lowing cattle from Phylace, with which deed he won the daughter and brought her home to be his brother's wife. Afterwards, he banished himself to Argos, that land of thoroughbreds, where fortune made him, a chance-comer, acquire lordship over very many of the Argives. He built a palace there, married and had 2 stout sons, Antiphates and Mantius. Antiphates' son, Oicles, was the father of Amphiaraus of Amphiaraus, inspirer of peoples, who, though beloved of Zeus and Apollo, yet attained not the quiet of old age, but died in Thebes for a woman's gifts, leaving Alcmaeon and Amphilochus' issue. Mantius, the other son of Melampus, these are hard. Mantius, the other son of Melampus, had a child, Cletus, who was so very lonely that golden-throned Dawn snatched him up to be with the immortals. Also another son, Polyphides, who by grace of Apollo succeeded Amphiaraus as the greatest prophet alive. But he fell out with his father, and so transferred him to Hyperesia, where he lived and prophesied publicly. It was his son, by name Theoclymenus, who now approached Telemachus as he made prayer and libation beside the black hull of the ship to say earnestly, "My friend, whom I find in act of sacrifice, tell me truthfully, I pray you, by that sacrifice in God, upon your head and your followers' heads. Who are you? Where from? What city and family?" Telemachus replied, "Actually, I am from Ithaca, and my father is Odysseus, or was Odysseus, if he existed ever. Oh, anyway, he died in misery long ago. I took these companions and sailed out to solve the mystery of his disappearance." Then said Theoclymenus, "And I too have left my country for manslaughter of a kinsman whose powerful family bears sway over the Achaeans of the Argive plain. I fled their dark sentence of death, thereby dooming myself to wander across the habitable world. Hear a fugitive's prayer. Admit me to your ship and save my life. I think the pursuers are not far behind." Said Telemachus, "If you really wish to sail with us, I shall not refuse you. Come to our home and welcome to your share of what we have." He took the bronze spear from him and laid it on the deck, then stepped aboard himself and had Theoclymenus sit by him in the stern sheets. As they cast off the warps, he gave order to rig the boat. Zealously, they raised their pine tree mast, stepped in, trapped it in the thwart, and tautened its stays. Then they hoisted the white sails by their halyards of plaited hide. Athene gave them a fair wind, which sang shrilly through the cloudless firmament, so that the ship scudded most quickly towards her goal across the salt sea water. By Crony and by chalice of the running brooks they went, till sunset and darkness fell. The ship coasted Phae in the might of Zeus's winds, and raised Elis, the Epeans' strong sanctuary. As he drove thence past each jagged islet, Telemachus asked himself if he would escape death or be trapped. Meanwhile, Odysseus was supping in their homestead with the honest shepherd and his men. When appetite had been appeased, he spoke again and wished to find out the swineherd's real mind towards him, and if he would extend him longer hospitality there in the farm or compel him citywards. Now, Eumaeus and you others, listen. So as not to exhaust your kindness, I would go at crack of dawn to the town where I can beg my way. Only give me hints and skilful guidance thither, for once arrived, I must work by myself if I am to win bread and sup from someone. My special idea is to pass a word with wise Penelope at Odysseus's house and meet the graceless suitors. Perhaps they will fill my mouth out of their superfluity, and it is likely I may prove useful to them, for I tell you, heed me and believe it well, that by help of Hermes, who is the dignity that graces human labor, no man equals me in service at building fires and chopping wood for them, at carving or roasting meats, at serving drink, at anything you like to mention that menials can do for their betters. Ah, then, Eumaeus, how your heart sank while you answered him. Alas, my guest, that this notion should have come to your mind. You must thirst for your own destruction if you would push among that mob of suitors whose rank cruelty affronts the steely sky. Their lackeys are not men like you, but young rufflers in gay cloaks and robes, sleek-headed and blooming-cheeked. Already their tables groan with bread and meat and wine. So stay with us. No man here, nor myself, nor any of my fellows, grudges you your tarrying. And when Odysseus's good son returns, he will clothe you newly and forward you whither your spirit bids. To this Odysseus said, My father Zeus loves you, Eumaeus, as I do for your sparing me further distressful vagabondage, that saddest of human fates. Hi. Yes, he is. He's right there. For their loathly bellies' sake do men incur these pains and griefs of vagrancy. But now, if I am to settle here till the sun returns, tell me about the mother of Odysseus, and of the father whom his going left behind stricken in years. Are they yet living in the eye of day, or dead and in Hades' mansions? Looked so much like Ellie when you clicked on. That's weird. That's strange. I'll take it as a compliment, though. It's funny. Said the excellent swineherd, I will tell it to you in detail. Laertes lives, but prays ever and ever that Zeus Said the excellent swineherd, I will tell it to you in detail. Laertes lives, but prays ever and ever that Zeus will let the life flicker from his limbs in the hall. So bitterly does he lament his missing son and the long-proven wife whose death has been a main grief to age him before his time. Know, too, that she herself fell on death for grieving after her famous son. A tragic end hers was, such as I would wish to no kindly neighbor who had entreated me well. Despite her sorrow, I was careful and glad to ask after her while she lived, for I was brought up by her with tall, long-gowned Clymene, her youngest daughter. Together we grew up, the mother honoring me almost like her own child, until both of us came to blissful adolescence. Then they parted with her, for a high wedding price, to a man of same, while me my lady clothed and shod fairly, and put to work on the farm. Her love toward me ever grew, and it is that which I now miss, despite the gods having prospered me in the work which is my livelihood, so that I have my food and drink, and can give alms to the deserving. But since the shadow fell on the great house and ruffians beset it, there is no more cheerfulness in the mistress, neither kind word nor kindly deed. Whereas it is the way of servants to take great satisfaction in meeting their mistress, to pass the time of day in gossip, perchance to eat or drink somewhat, and carry off to their fields a trifle which warms their loyal hearts. So the best dinner is some sourdough with pesto and beef and a coconut, raspberry, and lemon drink. That sounds like it fucks. Odysseus rejoined, Was it as an infant, Eumaeus, that you went astray from your home and kin? Take this chance to tell me all your story. Did they sack and ruin that spacious city where your parents lived? Or were you alone, herding sheep or cattle, for instance, when raiders caught you and shipped you overseas for sale at a stiff price into a master's household? The swineherd replied, Stranger, if you will open up that topic, settle yourself comfortably into your seat, refill your cup, and listen to me closely. These nights are inordinately long and afford us time for diverting tales and for sleep too. Nor is there point in sleeping over soon. That way lies boredom. Of the others, let anyone who feels like it go off to bed. At daybreak there will be a snatch meal and then away with our lord's swine. But we two snugly indoors here may drink and eat and revel in an interchange of sorrows. Sorrows that are memories, I mean. For when a man has endured deeply and strayed far from home, he can call solace from the rehearsal of old griefs. And so I will meet your questioning. There is an island called Syria, if you have heard of it, beyond Ortygia, where the sun has its turning. No populous place, but good, with its bounties of cattle and sheep, corn and wine, so that its people are never straitened nor made miserable by disease. When a generation has grown old, Apollo of the silver bow and Artemis come with kindly darts to end their term. Politically, the whole island is comprised of 2 cities, and my godlike father, Stesus, son of Ormenus, was king of both. Ours was a place where profit-seeking Phoenician? Ours was a place where profit-seeking Phoenician master mariners would come to chaffer the 10,000 gewgaws in their ships. Also, my father had a Phoenician woman among his bondmaids. Beautiful and tall she was, and an accomplished seamstress. But passion will lead astray the very best of women, and she fell, seduced by a wily fellow countryman, actually while she did our laundry. The Phoenician who lusted and lay with her was from a nearby ship, and afterward he asked her about herself. She pointed to my father's towering roof with, "Yet I swear I am from the mart of bronze, from Sidon itself, own daughter of Erebus, that source of wealth. Taphian pirates captured me as I was strolling down the country road. They brought me here and sold me into this king's establishment. No small sum he paid." Then the sailor who had secretly enjoyed her said, "And would you like to come back with us to see again the tall house of your father and mother and be with them once more? They live still and are reputed rich." The woman replied, "Let it be so indeed, if you sailors will pledge your word to bring me honorably home." They all swore it as she waited, and after the oath was taken, she began again. "Be mum now, and see that never a one of you speaks to me on the highway or even at the fountain should we meet. Someone might go and tell the old man in the palace, and on the suspicion he would fetter me savagely and compass your destruction. So keep it to yourselves while you drive your cargo bargain. Afterwards, when the ship is fully freighted, make sure that a swift word finds me in the palace, for I would bring with me every scrap of gold within reach, together with another sort of goods that I will most gladly give you for my fare. I play nurse to my master's child, a priceless boy, who toddles by my side in and out of the house. If I bring him aboard, he should fetch you a huge sum for some foreign buyer." Thus she said, and returned within the mansion. The seafarers delayed amongst us for a whole year till their trading had brought together great wealth in the ship. When all the holds were filled ready for departure, they sent up a messenger to warn the woman. The crafty fellow came to my father's house, hawking a golden collar beaded here and there with amber. As the serving women in the hall and my lady mother were offering him bids for this, fingering it and devouring it with their eyes, he nodded silently to the woman. Then he went back towards the ship, while she took me by the hand and led me out through the hall door. In its porch she found cups and tables where the men in attendance upon my father had refreshed themselves before going out to assembly for their debate. Swiftly she snatched up 3 goblets and hid them in her bosom, me tripping along meantime in all innocence. As we hurried towards our familiar harbor, the sun set and the roads grew obscured. The Phoenician vessel lay ready. The crew embarked us and sailed across the waters, Zeus affording a fair wind. We sailed for 6 days and nights on end, but as the son of Cronos created the 7th day, Artemis the archer smote the woman, who dropped with a seagull's headlong dive into the bilges. They flung her overboard to feed the seals and fishes, leaving me disconsolate. Wind and currents at length brought them up in Ithaca, where Laertes purchased me with his wealth. So I came to see this land. Odysseus in his answer said, "Eumaeus, your tale of all these haps and sorrows sadly borne touches my heart. Yet surely Zeus has given you good to set off against evil, and bringing you all the end of your distress to this house of a gentleman who has so well provided you with meat and drink as to let you live wholesomely. While I have arrived only as a waif, errant among the haunts of men." So they chatted, till at last they slept away the little remnant of the night. Little it was, for dawn was soon enthroned. 141 followers. When did that happen? Thank you. In this same dawn, the crew of Telemachus offshore lowered first their sails and then their mast smartly and rowed their ship to land. They let go the anchors and bitted their hawsers, before going out upon the margin of the sea to prepare the day meal and mix their sparkling wine. After they had well eaten and drunken, Telemachus exhorted them prudently. Now you must take our black ship round to the city, while I go up country to my herdsmen. By evening I shall have checked my affairs and got back to the city, where early tomorrow I will discharge your journey fee in a worthy feast of meat and good wine. Here revered Theoclymenus broke in to say, And where am I to go, dear lad? Whose house should I make for in this rugged Ithaca with all its chiefs? Or shall I go straight to your mother's house, which is yours? Telemachus pensively replied, Normally I would have you come to ours where guests are welcomed, but now it might be unsuitable, with me away and my mother invisible, for she likes not to be seen much among the suitors in the hall, but keeps her upper room weaving. Do you stream for your phone? Yes, I do stream from my phone. I don't have a PC. For she likes not to be seen much among the suitors in the hall, but keeps her upper room weaving. However, there is one man I can commend to you as host, and that is Eurymachus, wise Polybus's distinguished son. In the eyes of the Ithacans, he is rather more than mortal, being beyond cavil their greatest figure. It is his ambition to espouse my mother and succeed to the honors of Odysseus, but that only Zeus, in his Olympian firmament, can judge. The god might cause their day of wrath to come before the wedding day, and as he finished speaking, a bird, one of the hawks that are Apollo's speedy messengers, swooped past upon the right hand with a dove in its claws, and tearing at it so that the feathers came fluttering to earth midway between Telemachus and the ship. Theoclymenus called him apart from the crowd, gripped his arm, and said, Telemachus, as soon as I saw it, I knew that bird was significant. Only by the god's warrant did it fly past on the right. There is no family more royal than yours in all Ithaca. To you will ever be its sovereignty. Upon which somber Telemachus rejoined, stranger, if only this word came true, my love and generosity would then so light upon you in swift measure that everyone who met you would pronounce you blessed. Then he summoned Piraeus, one of his trusted ones, and said, Son of Clydius, during this voyage to Pylos, you have proved most heedful of my wishes. Now I would have you take the stranger home and tend him with kindly honor till I come. And Piraeus the doughty spearman answered, Telemachus, I will receive him and not pinch his entertainment, however long you tarry. They turned to the ship and had the others embark and cast off. They hurried to their rowing stations while Telemachus was doing on his neat sandals. Then he lifted from the deck his great spear with its keen bronze tip. The crew cast off their cables, pulled out to sea, and sailed for the port as the son of Odysseus had enjoined, while his feet sped from inland to the penfold, where slept his swarms of swine about their herdsman, that loyal servant of his master's wheel. Will I watch Nolan's movie based on the book later? Probably. But the thing is, I think every book that I've read has a movie on it. And every time I finish a book, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch the movie on this. And then I never do. Save for Journey to the Center of the Earth. And I want to watch the original, but I watched the Brendan Fraser version. Because who doesn't love Brendan Fraser? I tell you one thing, I will not be watching the new Pride and Prejudice movie. Even though we read that one. Oh, no, sorry, not Pride and Prejudice. Wuthering Heights. Is it Wuthering Heights? With Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi? I won't be watching that one. Book 16. Should we do it? 10 pages? What are we at for time? No, I think I do want to stop. Okay, that was book 15 of the Odyssey. I will upload this on my YouTube channel. It's the same name as this channel, K.A. Reads Classics. It's all one word, no space. And that's all for today. Thank you for reading with me, and I hope you have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.